good start. I mean, and the point again here is working with people. Working with people. You don't have to abandon who you are. I mean, I'm going to be me. They got to take me with my strong Democratic voting record, and I'm going to work with them, but I'm not going to call them nasty names. I'm not going to talk about their children. I'm not going to question their religion.
Right.
Right.
I mean, in Washington, the new theory is, you know, you say, I'm right and you're evil.
Yeah.
And look, God will not be pimped. And
Yes. Amen.
God is God all by himself and doesn't need anybody else's help. And so, you know, I think, you know, people, I mean, this is one of the worst things that's happened in Washington. I mean, you know, people walk around, you know, I'm a holier. You know, my name is Jesus Jr. I mean, we need to stop that. You see, a lot of times, the voice of God we hear is our own voice in disguise. And so we've got to be very, very careful about doing things. I mean, you know, chapter 25 of the Gospel according to Matthew lays out clearly that we ought to take care of the poor, the hurt, the wounded, the widows. It's clear. And I know it's clear, but I don't go down on the floor and say, well, would you please turn to the Gospel according to Luke? You know, you don't do that. You don't do that. You stand up and make your case. Now, everybody is who they are based on what they've experienced. And so, I mean, I have an experience, but I don't have to come out and say, you know, this is what God wants me to do. I make my case. That's why I can get along with those guys. I make my case. I don't have to use anything else. Now let me just say this, and I'm through. This election is extremely important, and we don't vote in off years. I mean, there's something in the Democratic DNA that just tells us, well, you did good a few years ago, now mess it up. Do you understand that 3.5 years ago, African Americans outvoted whites for the first time percentage-wise in the history of this country? And then 2 years later, I think 6 African Americans voted nationwide with a bunch of white folks. And so we can't continue to do this, and we got to vote. We got to vote. I know Hillary Clinton. I have known the Clintons for a long time, and somebody was asking me. I was in Gary, Indiana, campaigning for Secretary Clinton, and somebody asked me. One of the reporters said, "Well, what is she like?" And I explained to him. I said, "Look, for the last 25 years, systematically, the Republicans have demonized her to the point where people will say, well, I don't trust her." And then you say, well, can you do details?
Right.
And well, yeah, well. And I said, one of the amazing things, if I want to explained to Secretary Clinton is that she is one of the warmest people I've ever been around in my life, and a good, strong Methodist, anybody Methodist in here, United Methodist Women, as you know, she's active with the United Methodist Women and has been, used to be a Sunday school superintendent at the Methodist Church that she grew up in. But there's on these mattresses, you know, the United States, we need help. I go, you know, you make up your bed and there's a little tag on it that says, you know, do not use if detached. So if the sign's not there, how do you know? And here you are, getting ready to go to federal prison because the tag's not there. But the point is, y'all don't work with me. Here's the point. No candidate is good if they're detached. None. And I have seen her in situations. I was with her, driven by Stephanie Tubbs Jones, Congresswoman Stephanie Tubbs Jones, to her house in Washington. Michael Eric Dyson, who was here yesterday, his wife Marcia. We all went over there that night, and I was thinking about this the other day. When I got in the car with Congresswoman Stephanie Tubbs Jones, we drove from the Methodist building where I live all the way to the house, and it didn't occur to me. We never said a single word to each other because we knew what was going on. So we get in the backyard, you know, the drinks and everything, and so finally Senator Clinton comes out and she said, I want to just tell you guys I love you, and you know, you've been great. And she said, but I am now getting ready to announce that I am going to suspend my campaign, and I will be voting for Senator Obama. And so there were some hisses. No. She said, no, shh, no, don't do that. She said, don't you do that. She said, we're going to go out and support Senator Obama. That's what we do.
Yes, that's right.
And she said, we're going to help him become the President of the United States, the first African American to do that. And I listened to people up on the stage talking, many of whom knew the Secretary saying that what she said. I was there in the backyard with witnesses. And I saw and heard what kind of person she was when nobody was around. You know what she could have done, and it wouldn't have leaked because of the crowd that was there? She could have said, you know, I don't think he's a good candidate. We're going to have to support him. He's horrible. She didn't say any of that. In the backyard with friends. And so I've thought about that over and over and over and over again. I could go on about things. I'm going to tell you this one about Martin Luther King III, and then I'll go back and sit over here on the other side of the class system. Here's Martin Luther King III flies into Little Rock, Arkansas in the 80s to do a speech. He gets out of the plane in Little Rock, and he's looking around for his driver. And finally, this blonde woman walks up to him and said, Mr. King, I'm here to pick you up. And he said, oh, okay. And she said, I'm Hillary Clinton. He said, the First Lady? And she said, yeah, but where are your bags? I mean, he's standing there, you know, rocking. She picks him up from the airport, drives him to the hotel, and then tells him she's going to pick him up at 6:30 or whatever to take him to where he's going to speak. The First Lady of the state. No Arkansas highway patrolman, or I mean, just her. And so you don't hear those kinds of stories. And I thought it would be important for my peoples to know this. And but we are a party, and the reason I'm a Democrat, we are a party that brings people in. You heard me stumble earlier over, I said I have 6 first cousins, and then I amended it and said 7. Well, the 7th was named Gary Emanuel Cleaver. It's named after his father, Emanuel Cleaver, my father's youngest brother, who I was named after, for whom I was named. And Gary, we call him Gary, too many Emanuels in our family. I'm serious, it's a truckload, even now. So Gary, we grew up together. Gary was, a kid, and that's all I knew is that he was my cousin, my first cousin. And my first fight was when a little boy across the street called Gary a sissy. Had no idea what he was talking about, it just sounded bad. I said, man, you're not going to talk to my cousin like this. My first fight, all I know, this is my cousin, this is Gary, it's like my family. We all grew up together, we lived together. And so Gary leaves and goes to California, and we don't see him for 20 years. Nobody in our family. And then he shows up at a family reunion. Everybody's just excited about seeing him. Then he goes back to California. And then one of my cousins in Dallas called and said, bad news, Gary just died. What? And she said, yeah, they called and notified me. Well, what's going on? She said, Gary just died of AIDS. And then we start piecing things together. He was a member of the First AME Church in Los Angeles, famous church where they prayed for at night for O.J. Simpson, and the pastor there is a legendary Methodist preacher. He's no longer pastor. Gary is dead. All of us, we had to go to church. We had to go to church. All this stuff. Well, my children will make the decision when they get older. We had to go to church, and we went to hear our grandfather preach. We had to sit up on the front. Grandpa had a cane, and he had it right by the pulpit. So we didn't play. We go to church. He joins the choir, the male choir, and then a group of the men went to Skip Murray, the pastor, Reverend Skip Murray, and said, the men are going to quit singing unless you can get Cleaver out of the choir. I said, well, why? Because he has AIDS, and we don't want to catch AIDS. My cousin finds out what happened. He goes over into South Central Los Angeles, finds an abandoned house. Goes into the house and dies alone. He wrote little notes for us. And then left a note that he wanted to be cremated. He didn't feel worthy to go to church.